pyramids aren't even real?
No, they're styrofoam. But welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Under the Influence. This is season 5, episode 4, right? 4. Yes, I'm getting a nod from our resident producer out there. I almost said his name. We're not allowed to say his name. He's like Voldemort.
You can't say his name
if you say his
either.
name too many times in this room, he just appears. And
Oh
then,
my
you know,
goodness. He just
bad things happen.
shifts game glitches through the wall, and he's sitting in this room. Yeah, producer Shibs, that's his name. Oh no. Yeah, season 5, episode 4. We're so glad to have you here. We're grateful to get to be here and to do this. We hope you've been enjoying this new season and enjoying as we kind of every episode seem to have a new bug that we're fixing. The last few episodes were a little bit darker than the rest, so hopefully the lights look better in here. But, comment down below. Let us know what you think of the new set, what you think of the new season, and if you've noticed maybe the structure that we're trying to follow more, and if you like it or if you don't. I think if you like it, we'll probably hear nothing, and if you don't, we'll probably hear lots. That tends to be the way the internet goes.
Yeah, makes sense. And let us know if you want us to kick our new co-host.
Oh, just
What?
kick him, not kick him off?
Yeah.
Just kick him live on air.
Okay. We'll do a whole segment where we just kick him over and over and over again.
If we get 1,000 comments that say kick Jaret, then we'll kick him live on
Are you
air.
okay with that?
I probably deserve it anyway.
1,000 comments would launch us into the stratosphere.
Oh,
of
yeah, that's what I'm
YouTube, so-
saying. If we get
Do we have
1,000
permission?
comments.
Yeah.
Can we kick you?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. This is horrible.
I just want
If-
to be involved.
In
if you
Minecraft.
comment down below and we get 1,000 comments on this video, we'll kick Jaret live on air.
Spartan kicked me into a well.
A well?
We'll dig a well.
Oh,
you
Yeah,
know?
we will dig a well
And
on
then
live
kick
stream
Jaret
and then
into it.
Spartan kick. Yeah. This is Sparta. Just kick him into the well. All right, cool.
Glad we established that off.
Yeah, we got that out of the way.
Yeah, we get that off our chest.
That is done. So, yeah, we hope you've been enjoying this new season. We've been enjoying it, I think. How have you guys been?
Been all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
It's been-
sense.
It's been an interesting last little couple weeks.
Oh, yeah?
Vacation, work. Got to take the puppy to the beach.
Ooh.
Yeah, very fun. Very fun time.
Was that the first
To the
time
Oregon
Hutch B's
beach.
been on the beach?
Since we first got her.
Okay.
So, but it's been like 8 months since she's been.
So she doesn't even remember.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know how dog memories work.
Yeah. I don't know if
somewhere between goldfish and human.
probably.
So I assume, I'm pretty sure to some extent they struggle with object permanence, right?
Well, yeah.
Like-
Yeah, they have a harder time going through a maze than a pig does.
Whoa. Well, that makes sense. Pigs are geniuses. Pigs are smarter than most people.
All right.
No,
That's crazy.
no, just kidding. Pigs are smarter than some people, but yeah, that's cool.
It was good. Much needed getaway.
Nice, man. Yeah, this week has been, we played D&D last night. We recorded again. I think we're getting an airdrop here. How does dog memory work? According to the AI overview of Google, sorry, Jacob, it says dogs primarily rely on associative memory, remembering people, places, and experiences based on the associations they make with them rather than detailed recall of events, which makes sense. They also have a strong sense of email, which plays, just kidding, smell. I read it. I knew what it said, but at first when I read it, I thought it said email. And then I was like, no. A strong sense of smell, which dogs have a strong sense of email. They're like, oh, I know what that is. A strong sense of smell, which plays a significant role in their memory and emotional responses.
It's like they have a strong sense of email, like my radio had a strong sense of text messages. Because
What?
whenever I would sit there and I would be reading a book and I would have the radio playing, and my phone would be sitting on the table next to the radio, and every time I got a text, the radio would
Read it out. Oh,
and then I would get a text.
that's
kind of
It
cool.
would
be
mess
so
with the radio
cool.
signal. So I was like, so instantly whenever I heard that, I would put down my book and I would pick up my phone, text.
text.
It It was incredible.
Imagine if the radio was reading out the text.
That would be scary.
The
Yeah.
original Siri.
The original Siri was FM radio.
FM radio.
No.
Apple AI is kind of crazy because my wife sent me a photo of the dog and I got a text message and Siri was in my headphones and read out. Wifey sent a photo of a dog lying on a carpet next to bed. I was like,
Well,
that's kind of crazy.
there's an Apple AI now?
I think so. Isn't that what that is?
I mean,
I don't-
Siri's
I don't
kind
know.
of like.
I mean,
AI.
Siri, yeah, but I didn't know that she
But
could do
that's
that.
crazy that she can read images now.
Yeah.
It's
I've
all
never
the
had to
captures,
do that
honestly.
before.
It's all the what?
The captures. All those captures, we've been
Training.
We've been training AI the entire time.
Do we know that that's true?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Cool. So what should I do when I encounter a CAPTCHA if I don't want to train AI?
You have no option but to
All right.
succeed.
But to succeed.
What is a CAPTCHA?
A
They're those,
captcha
like,
is those
click
tests.
all the pictures with
Oh, are
a
you
bus
a
in them.
robot? Because
Yeah,
all of
okay.
those have been getting more and more complicated
Yeah.
because they've been training AI.
It's so funny to think that like they're basically
Because
whoever
all
they
those
are,
ones with
making us do their-
letters is to try and teach them what letters and numbers look like and be able to read images that have letters and
Interesting.
numbers
Uh,
and be able to say what they are.
Okay. So we've been training them since like 2004 or whenever those started.
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, you know the ones that are like click which box has a bus in it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, AI, dude. Now they know what buses are.
No, but we're training them how to
that
like
means when we
drive,
have to
how
defeat AI, we can't run it over with a bus because it's gonna be like, I know what that is. Stay clear of that thing.
Okay.
Um,
I'm looking at 8 cameras and 6 of them have bicycles in it.
stay out of their way. That's not how they're gonna get me. AI can outrun bikes because we trained them to.
Yeah.
Oh
Are
my-
you guys ready for a blast from the past?
Honestly, I haven't watched it in a while, but it's a pretty funny movie. Okay. It is a funny movie. Have you seen Blast from the Past?
I've never even heard of the
I've
title.
never heard of it either.
You
I've-
have heard of it. I know you have because I heard of it at the same time as you. High school.
Uh-huh.
So like 40 years ago,
Yeah.
we're sitting there and Mr. Bentley starts talking about this movie about a guy who his mom and dad go down into thank you. It's I was gonna build to that.
Oh my
I was
stars.
gonna build to that, but we jumped it. They go down into a bunker and his whole life, it's like Fallout the movie kind of. His whole life is lived in this fallout shelter because his parents are just convinced that there's going to be a nuclear attack, but one never happens. So he comes back up in like 1990 and there's, just the world. And he's just this kind of grown up in like the 1960s. So he's a little bit racist but he doesn't know that he is, but he's like the nicest guy ever. And it's Brendan Fraser. So how could you not like him,
Yeah.
It's crazy. They made a romance movie with the mummy.
with the mummy?
The mummy?
He's not the mummy in those movies.
He might as well be.
Oh,
I
okay.
associate them the same.
Yeah, the picture for Blast from the Past shows up, and it's just a mummy kissing this girl. The Blast
It's
from the
the-
Past, ancient history comes back to
It's
life.
the guy that played the mummy.
It's either the mummy
Egyptian
or the
guy.
whale. Those are.
Should we talk about? Speaking of mummies, should we talk about that crazy thing with the pyramids?
What?
Why have we? Not, why have Shibs not brought that up to us? That's way in his wheelhouse.
What crazy thing with
What
the
happened
pyramids?
with the pyramids?
You
I have
guys,
failed you.
you don't know about the pyramids?
What happened with the pyramids?
You don't know about that
Shibley looked that up.
scam that just came out?
Shively, bring it up.
That fake news?
Bring up the news about. Oh,
We
Did
can
they get
move
s-
your thing till later.
okay.
This,
Yeah.
well, we got Jaret right now. You know the techno rods?
What?
Okay, you don't know anything. You got to stay
The
up.
techno
Dude,
rods?
Come on. I don't know what they're called. I just said techno rods. Essentially,
There's obelisks in the pyramids?
there's giant, according to some guy that shot radar from space at the pyramids.
Trustworthy, yeah.
We should really go deep dive on the conspiracy at some point. We should have Shibs come in here and talk to us about it because I'm sure he knows a lot about it.
We should have him
No
give it in
offense.
a lecture format.
Yeah, he should present it to us with a clicker. All right, yeah, that video might linking the Giza pyramid SAR scans. I'm going to give the most overview version of this because I know very little, right? Because I don't go hyper conspiracy. To me, I have a one and done answer for the pyramids, and I am
He clicks right on the
Intuit TurboTax. I have a one and done answer. All right, we're back to Intuit TurboTax. I have a one and done answer for the pyramids in an opinion, and I'm perfectly happy with it. I don't need anything else. And so these things are interesting and intriguing to me, but beyond that, it's whatever. Oh, that was somehow smaller when you opened it full. What in the world?
They're trying to.
Oh my goodness, they know I hope this is on the screen for the people. Okay, good.
Oh, that would be so funny.
Hey, they look
so
nice.
What a lovely couple. They're trying to. They're trying to tell me
that
the
was
pyramids are fake
grandpa
news.
and a granddaughter or something. Not a couple.
It
That's
might have
wild.
been.
The pyramids aren't even real.
No, they're styrofoam. But
Every time he opens something, it
here, let's try not to get distracted. Let's just talk so we actually are being interesting.
no.
So
That's
here's
better.
the thing. My understanding, and maybe we'll be corrected by an article in a second, but my understanding is they shot some sort of radar from space at the pyramids that goes deep beneath them to discover that apparently under each pyramid there is a giant like cylindrical obelisk that's shooting down deep into the bedrock, and it's something like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 kilometers down or something like that. And they've got some sort of coil around them, like this big, like battery, like you're seeing this image in front of us.
It's the thing from Futurama that they're going to steal the spinning of the Earth
Declaration of
and
Independence.
use it to.
They're going to
create-
steal the Declaration of Independence using the pyramids. Yeah, let's see if this video is anything interesting.
Are the pyramid? So the theory is pyramids are like icebergs. You only see the top 10%.
Pretty much is what they're thinking, because there's this huge conspiracy about how like
The latest revelations of what could be under Khafre Pyramid have shocked the entire world, extending the structures and pylons to as much as 2 kilometers under the pyramids is just beyond anything anyone had imagined. 1 year and 1 month ago, I posted regarding this encryption of Leonardo da Vinci's work related to Khafre Pyramid. And I showed how the inner structures were matching the structures that basically
I didn't know we were
were
going right into the
within the
conspiracy
current
stuff.
pyramid
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah,
the
that's
slope
kinda
angle
wild.
matching 53.13 degrees, and the 3/4 proportion of 1/2 base over the height.
this
was
is
prominently
not
displayed.
what I was.
And in
Da
addition
Vinci
to
was
that,
right.
Mainly,
if we look
the main thing is
further
there's just
at the language
we don't need to
that
watch
is
the Da Vinci
written
stuff.
in the upper right hand
The
corner.
primary thing was just that like there was a recent discovery, and we don't really know if it's true or not because it's like kind of up in the air technology already, but that these radar scans are showing that, like you saw, there's some sort of giant 2-kilometer pylons or whatever under each of the pyramids. And can you find the like AI image that someone made of it that looks, oh, it's right there. It's right there. It's to the right of the one you have clicked. That's the one I want. That's the one that was on Rogan. There it is. So this is like something that someone made, like what it might look like, right? Like what if we're just seeing the tops of basically these giant like Washington Monument sort of things, right? We don't really know if this is
Just
true.
giant
This is some
obelisks.
this is some guy's interpretation of it. Or there's the other one like that guy was showing that's these rods with this like spirals down it. You've got all these conspiracy theorists. They're not going to like that I said that, but that are saying that it's somehow in tune with the core tones of Earth, and therefore it's concentrating energy. I don't know enough about that to even steel man it, and I'm just trying to say it the way I understand. I'm not trying to straw man it or misrepresent it.
Do you want me to give you the quick
Yes, sir.
Yes.
synopsis
yeah.
of what
Please.
happened? So there's these satellites that have been going around the Earth, obviously taking scans, and the technology they're using is called SARS, synthetic aperture something.
Radar, I think.
Radar system or something like that, right? So it is newer technology, but it's not considered controversial. But people are saying that they wish the scans were a little bit more clear because they are trying to decipher what the scans showed to say that they are what these things are. But eventually, you get to the point to where they say there are 5 new chambers inside the Khafre pyramid, in the pyramid itself, above, at the ground surface level that nobody knew about before. And underneath are 8 like really long cylindrical, and they're empty inside, but they have a coil that runs around them all the way down, And this goes like 2,000, I want to say, meters down, which is like the Eiffel Tower with the Empire State Building stacked on top of it.
Yeah.
Goes down, and then there's 2 cubic chambers that these 8 go into. So it's 2 rows of 4, but they make a 2x2 cubic chamber that each of these cylinders goes into. And then even below that is another like 1,000 or couple thousand meter deep open like underground city.
Oh, I've never heard anybody say the city thing.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the way that I build in Minecraft. I build a giant pit down to bedrock, and then on the outside of that pit, I put a railway system spiraling all the way up so that I can get up and down, like
And then he
easily.
just rides it up and down. Whee!
Well, no, I jump down the whole thing because I put a little bit of water at the bottom. But then I ride a railway system back up, spiraling all the way around the cylinder. I build a building on top that looks inconspicuous. And then on the bottom, I make an entire underground city that I put in with huge amounts of things.
So, Levi, you didn't realize that
I'm
you,
Egyptian.
you built the pyramids.
I built the pyramids.
My initial thought was like, how has no one ever figured this out? But why would you dig under the pyramids?
Well, here's the thing. Why wouldn't you?
Fair point.
Why after this long have we not done? And well, that's the question. And apparently, like the guy, like the Egyptian government is very protective of the pyramids. And I guess there's this
what
one
are they
guy
hiding?
Yeah, what are they hiding?
What are they hiding?
That's been the question for a long time, I guess. And there's a guy that like won't let anybody excavate them. Like they're.
I mean,
this
the
big
only
thing.
reason that we found the internal structures was because some guy demolished the wall of one.
Mm-hmm.
So that he found the doorway into leading to one of the internal structures.
So here's the thing with the pyramids and me.
Yeah.
Like, I think that our minds are very fanciful and we like to come up with all these crazy, right? And people like to do the aliens thing and all that. In my opinion, the thing that makes the most sense when we look at this, like, it's impossible. There's all these crazy things, right? About like the size of the bricks. Like when people go there, you know, most of them are bigger than people. And like the size of these huge stone bricks, and it's like impossible to chip away at them with the types of tools we know that these people had then. And it's impossible to move them these great distances. Some of these rocks were supposedly moved like 500 miles away or something to get to these spots. And so people are like, well, it must be aliens, or somehow maybe the Egyptians were this advanced race of people and we just don't know, like, you know, the Atlantis style thing. To me, the thing that makes the most sense as a believer is that it's just Nephilim. Like 100%, like the Nephilim is responsible for the pyramids. What if the pyramids, let's say they were some sort of giant obelisk at one point. Well, what if pre-flood you had these huge structures that created, and post-flood now we have a big desert there because there was water all over the entire earth? And what if all that stuff, that sediment and everything just settled there and completely covered all that up? But if that's the case, isn't it crazy to think that what if like at one point that desert not there or not like that, and we had these huge structures? Like, just saying. To me, that makes the most sense. But, or I used to also be like, I don't really care. And so the Egyptians just probably built it. But then like you actually look at it, it's like, it doesn't make sense that they did. It doesn't make sense that people at that time, like a lot of our modern equipment, we have tried to like pick up some of these same stones, and it like destroys cranes that try and lift it and stuff. So it's like, how in the world did they move even a single one of these stones back in the day?
They obviously had bigger cranes.
Oh,
That makes sense.
And some of these were built before they had the wheel.
Yeah.
So like,
But the wheel's not the crane, though.
no, I know.
That's
But like
true.
the wheel is also, it's a pretty like significant piece of technology when humanity started to move forward and be able to build things and advance. So it's like, I just think that it makes sense that we had Nephilim and they built these huge things.
Getting a little bit off track a little bit, but there is a series of videos online. It's an alternate reality Earth where in it, one part of the lore for the whole thing is called the Monument Mythos. One part of it is that the Egyptians in ancient times were fighting these things, and they had to create the pyramids to hold these trees in place and stop them from growing. And the pyramids were actually the capstones to miles and miles underground stonework that they were doing. They tried to chop down the trees. That didn't work, so they just had to encase them. So it's the trees. Monument mythos is real.
I feel like there's a lot of context that would help us understand.
Oh,
what you're
yeah,
saying.
I know. But those that know, you know.
If you know.
If you know, you know.
Does Shibs know the monument mythos?
Did you watch the Monument Mythos?
No? Okay, we're gonna know.
It's super good. James Dean is the devil. So, yeah.
Oh, wait, he plays the devil in that?
Oh, no, James Dean is literally the devil in that universe.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, cool. So, I mean, we're going to be a little bit outdated on this whole pyramid thing. And it's a pyramid scheme. Oh.
Got him.
Well,
No, it
even if
sounds like
we
it could
are
be true.
outdated, that's the first I've heard about it. So
Yeah, that is the first.
I mean,
that I've
it's in
heard.
the last week and a half or whatever that this thing went viral for us for recording this. And now for them, I just mean that like this episode will be 2 months since they.
I haven't been
crazy.
consuming a lot of media.
So-
I've been trying to catch up on Of Lore and Legend.
It is important to note that the scans were done, I want to say, several years ago.
Oh.
The review of them or the assessment is just recent and recently published.
Okay.
They've been hiding it from us.
Yeah, they've been keeping it. Well, wouldn't you?
Yeah. This is earth-shattering.
It could literally be earth-shattering. What if it's
Yeah.
like in that G.I. Joe movie?
It's about to be pyramid shattering.
Yep.
Yep.
I hope not. The pyramid's pretty cool.
They're really cool.
Do we want to do a blast from the past?
I think it leads to a good.
Yeah, why
I
not?
think it's
If it
pretty
can be
good.
quick, yeah. Let's blast from the past it.
A blast from the past. We're going back, Marty.
We're going back to June 16th, 1889.
From ancient history to recent history.
So sorry.
The
Eight-
title
was
of
it
the article,
1916, you said?
1889.
150
I wasn't
years
even
ago.
I wasn't even close.
Yeah.
1916? No, 1889. Got it.
Dope fiends.
Dope fiends.
So- This beginning is in very interesting, and then I'll discuss where it goes from there, because I'm not going to read the entire article. It has been well said that knowledge is power. Hence the deduction that all knowledge, be it good or evil, is in benefit to some way to society. If it is true that moralists and teachers of the gospel have cried down the publication in newspapers of the doings of the criminal classes, while men of the world have with one voice declared that the surest prevention of vice of all kinds is the exposure of its votaries in the daily press. Muzzle the press or wipe it out of existence, and human nature sinks to the level of brute creation. Murder, robbery, and mob law run riot with each other, and the whole country is given up to evildoers.
Okay.
So isn't that an interesting thought, that if we took out all the press, that it would just, everyone would just start going around killing each other and falling into all vices because we're not exposing any of it?
You know who I would expect to say that? Someone writing a newspaper article.
Oh yeah, 100%.
If you get rid of us,
If we lose our jobs,
everything will
you're
go
all gonna
bad.
die.
Yeah, everything's gonna be real
It's
bad.
gonna be purge time.
Yeah. You need us.
You need us.
Yeah, you need us.
So
It just sounded so like sniveling, like
Yeah.
you really need us. This is that, but
So-
with a lot of flowery language.
Spreading their own
So from
propaganda.
there, he gets incredibly racist.
Oh,
Like, it's all about Chinese people being a really bad race of
Okay.
people, which I'm not going to get into. But what is interesting is this journalist goes around to a bunch of dope dens all over California and just makes... There's a bunch of images in this article of a bunch of just Chinese people doing dope.
the marijuana.
No,
Oh.
opium.
Oh,
Like These are like the original opium dens and everything.
Okay.
So it goes through a bunch of just random insights that he's got into the lives of these people.
Oh, he's just like chilling with them and like.
Yeah, he's literally just
This
going
guy's
into
name
all
is-
these opium dens, watching these guys, drawing how they interact with things, and then giving all of his perspectives on it. Because this is like the
Interesting.
first big. This is 1889. This is the first big like. This is what's going on in all these opium dens.
Okay.
And how it's affecting people.
Like everybody waiting to read their Sunday paper is like, man, I just wish I
And
knew
it
what was going
opens
on in
up
those
with-
opium dens.
Well, it opens up with, hey, I know this is like controversial. That's a lot of people don't want us to talk about criminal stuff. Because in a bunch of the rest of the papers before this, there's basically no criminal things on the front.
Oh,
on the
that's
front
interesting.
page.
So there was a time where it was like taboo.
So
to
he's
talk
like,
about.
Yeah, why true crime now?
What?
yeah.
If
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So, but he ends off all of his examinations. So, I'm sorry, I have to find
The
it.
suspense was killing me.
it's incredibly small print, to
Yeah.
say the least. Whoa! It is said,
That's just a picture of a pig.
yeah, that goes into a story about the Razorbacks in
Oh, okay. And another one.
Florida.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
It is said, who have experienced the sensation that the most beautiful dreams come to the smoker, and for hours after he wakes, he walks about in a kind of trance that makes him forget all of his earthly surroundings. There is no other dissipation that is so fascinating. And when it once gets a hold of a person, there's no human power that can shake it off. The victim is lost to this world, for when he is not smoking, he's wandering about in a kind of drunken stupor that unfits him of any kind of business, or he is sleeping with his fairy-like dreams that draw him back to the pipe time after time, until death steps in and relieves the world of a vagabond who is much lower in the scale of humanity than the vilest drunkard that ever crawled out of the gutter. And the Chinese are introducing this death-stealing habit into happy homes every day.
Into happy homes. Was the opinion that like just some
Well, there's a lot of it that's like, he goes into one place and he talks about how there's a bunch of white women that are in desperate need of cookers to make them their opium pills.
right?
And how it's all being introduced from these opium dens and the opium people from China that are getting it into the good American households and bringing everything down.
So he's trying to raise awareness of
Yeah, he's
what
trying
this
to
is.
he's trying to raise awareness of what it is, and goes into how terrible the lives of these people are, and that they just end up ODing. And thank you guys for laughing at my mispronunciation of things.
Ways awareness.
Ways awareness.
Ways awareness.
Yeah.
I'm just a widow reporter. Ways and awareness. You need me.
But yeah, that was back in
I just want to
1889.
hang out with these opium heads.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But no,
yeah,
that's the point. That in 1889, that's what it was like. Look at it, what it's like now. Philadelphia, you can't walk down the street without, brushing past zombies. Portland's just
Yeah.
the same.
The question is then like, he's saying if people aren't talking about it, then it'll get worse. But we've been talking about it a lot, and it's gotten way worse.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So maybe he was wrong.
But we talked about it in a sense that the country has talked about it to where it's like, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. It's not just legalize it. Let them do whatever they want. It'll
Yeah.
get better.
They're just sick.
And we did. It did get better in Oregon.
I
So on the front lines of
I would say
like
no.
dealing with some of those people.
Yeah.
Are you on the front lines of the opium attack?
Well, I mean,
Are you in the dens?
I did participate, I guess, for a little bit there.
no.
Oh, well, that's not what I was referring to.
You
I
were
was just-
behind
your
enemy
job
lines
right now.
then.
Yeah, you were behind.
You're like, I'm just doing this for research.
That's so awful.
No. But yeah, no, with my job now, I work in a security position. But at the time of recording yesterday, we had an overdose in the field next to my store. We got a report about it. We ran out there, me and my other guard, and the guy was rolling around, just really incoherent. And then so we laid him out flat, and he just became unresponsive and started
my goodness.
making that snoring noise. And I was on the phone with dispatch, so we just started CPR. He stopped breathing. His pulse was really light. And we did CPR for like 6 minutes before EMTs got there. They gave him like 3 doses of Narcan, and he finally came back. But
Wow.
he was dead. And like we broke his ribs giving CPR. And when he finally came to, it was just like, oh, I was just taking a nap. Like immediately, like
Wow.
we're like, no, dude, like you were
dirt
gone,
nap.
you know, like relax. Cause he comes back and he's freaking out. He has all these people cut like over him. His clothes have been cut off. And, we were trying to calm him down and like, you need to go to the hospital. Like you just overdose, like communicate with us. And he was just so uncooperative. And then the EMT told him like, well, you should at least go to the hospital to like get your ribs looked at because your
Yeah.
ribs are broken. He's like, why are my ribs broken? And they're like, well, they
Sorry.
did CPR on you.
Yeah.
Like, and so he's like cussing us out for breaking his ribs. And the EMT's like, well, you were dead. So,
It's
but
just such a sentence. He was cussing me out for breaking his ribs.
no, like, and then like he refused to go to the hospital, and he like signed a waiver saying I don't want to go, and he walks away from us and he's just cussing us out like for breaking his ribs and quote like ruining my high. And like for me, like my guard and I, we literally saved this guy's life. Like we kept him alive for EMTs to get there. He was dead. He is now alive, and it was just complete disregard, if not even anger at us for literally saving him. And it's like, how do I, like, we did a good thing, and
Yeah.
we prayed for him yesterday. I'm going to continue to pray for him, and I hope that this turns around. But how do you not get discouraged in a moment like that? Because I was really upset about it yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I ended up just going back inside, but I don't think I handled it gracefully. I didn't like yell at the guy or anything, but I was like deeply upset by it.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to go out of your way to even get to the guy, right?
Yeah, we left property to go get to him. He was in a field across from our store.
Oh, wow.
So
So, and what part of it specifically just like left you discouraged? Not that none of it should have. I just mean like you felt discouraged because he wasn't grateful, or because
well, it's not that he wasn't grateful. It's just that like it felt like we were then just being attacked by this guy, and it's like we stopped, helped him. He's alive.
yeah,
Then like there's no. It felt like I know he's just leaving there to go get high again.
Mm.
He was wearing a hospital bracelet because he just got out of the hospital from an overdose. And it's like, for me, it's discouraging. Like, yeah, we can save him, but what if we can't next time?
yeah,
Like, what if, like, you can't have other people's wake up calls for them?
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, I was just really discouraged because I didn't know what I can do.
Mm.
Nothing I would say he would listen to. Nothing we did mattered. Like, you can't make people's choices for him. And I guess that's kind of why I was discouraged. But
yeah,
Obviously, what you did mattered.
yeah,
So whatever thoughts there are that what you did didn't matter, that's not from God.
Mhm.
And you know that not to be true. That's got to come from,
yeah,
yeah. It's like also you hear those stories about, you know, you were just saying you can't make this his turnaround moment or whatever, right? Usually when someone does have a turnaround from doing drugs or something, it's like when you hear someone go like, well, I was dead for 6 minutes and they broke my ribs trying to save me and all this stuff. And here you have an example where the guy, like, he has that same story, but he has the opposite of a turnaround. He's just like, dude, why did you ruin my experience I was having? And like, he's mad at you, right? So it's totally the opposite. So even just, I imagine just experiencing that, being like, you didn't do it. I imagine you didn't do it so that he would thank you, but you're standing there and this guy's life is saved, and you're just probably weren't even thinking like how he was going to act, but then he acted in a way that totally felt opposite, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, whoa, it makes it even more, because it would have been scary and startling no matter what. But I imagine it was very abrasive and startling for him to get up and just be like, cussing you out and running away and jumping over a fence or whatever. Like,
yeah,
right? Isn't that what he did?
Yeah, he hopped the fence and then walked through our parking lot. But it was just like, my guard is doing compressions.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on with dispatch, just praying over the guy, like just please be okay.
Right.
And then it was just met with such a 180.
Yeah.
Like, that's a miracle he lived. Like, that's God's work. And to have it just kind of like spit on, basically, was just very abrasive for me.
Yeah, I think how to not get discouraged by that is, like, I have two approaches to it. I think one is to remember that, like, we know that doing what is right, the world will hate us for. And it's not like you preach the gospel to that guy. So it's not like super analogous. Like, you preach the gospel to that guy and he's like, I hate you because you're a Christian, but like, still the world is broken and backwards, and sin is really, really destructive. And living in sin, what you're doing is you're choosing yourself over God. And you're choosing yourself over other people. And so this guy is so wrapped up right now, and it's heartbreaking, but he's so wrapped up in choosing himself and what satisfies what he wants, and really is destructive even to himself, that he's being hateful, right? Because to love others is to put them above yourself, and he's putting himself above other people. And then he's acting hateful to you, right? Like, so I think that's a sad thing, but to remember that, and to remember that, like, okay, it doesn't have to be surprising. And I think that can help me sometimes when I think, like, I do know that this is how it's going to be. And then going to people that you love and being comforted by them is, like, always helpful. Like, God puts people in our lives. And I think talking through the things that are heartbreaking to us is really helpful. Like, last night we played D&D, and you were talking to us about it. And it was like, dude, I'm sorry that happened, right? Like, I think that can help. But ultimately, before all those things, I think when we go to God first and remember that he is in control, and then surrender people over to him and just say, God, also, this really hurt me. Like, can you help me with that? That he will. Like, I believe that he absolutely will. But then the other thing about that, like, and I don't know how much this helps to encourage, but to me, it does when I think in this way. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but whenever somebody does something that I just really don't understand, or like it upsets me, specifically like the train of thought or the logic that gets them to the decision, I try and think about how I've done the same thing. And I've not ever had my ribs broken because I've been resuscitated, because I died ODing on drugs. But I have made really stupid decisions, and ones where, like, I knew it was totally wrong and I did it anyway. And then even after being picked back up again, I totally went right back into it and acted for myself. And I think it helps only to be like, it humbles us so that we don't think that we're better than those people, but it helps so that we can have more compassion. And yeah, that doesn't necessarily immediately translate into us not being discouraged, but it does then help us to just focus on being compassionate to those people. And I think that when we're feeling compassion for people, then we will be encouraged, right? If that compassion's from God, we'll be encouraged to continue to do good work, right? Because if we're feeling compassion towards people the way that Christ does, then we should be encouraged to do good work for them and to persevere. And Scripture tells us to persevere, right? To continue to persevere, because we will endure these hard things and be saddened. But I don't know, Levi, do you have any other thoughts?
I was also going to bring up that we don't have the ability to read into people's hearts and minds and know the future of their actions. So we can have hope that God will work in that person's life after being saved, and like being saved physically before he's saved spiritually. Well, I don't know if he was saved or
Right.
where he's at with everything, but it's pretty traumatic dying and coming back to life. So I doubt that he was in his right state of mind.
Yeah.
And also coming down with Narcan and everything that was going on. So I wouldn't blame everything that he's doing on him entirely,
Yeah.
There's a certain level of craziness that he will have time to reflect on. I mean, at least if he is going down the route that we're thinking he will, before he gets his next high, he will have time to reflect on some of the things if he chooses to. And God can work in those times to incredible effect. The Holy Spirit's way better at convicting and changing people's lives than we will ever be.
Yeah.
And
That's why it's not our job to convict. It's just our job to, like, for believers to hold accountable and for unbelievers to preach righteousness, right? To demonstrate righteousness.
And in that, he has another opportunity now because of the actions that were taken to save his life. He now has more opportunity to be able to think back on things. And ultimately, it is his choice to make whether he decides to quit the habit and come to Christ or not. And it's dumb that we can't, make people make the right decisions at times,
Is it dumb that we can't do that?
Well, no, it's not. But it feels kind of dumb when
It
we're
feels
just
dumb.
like, you're making a stupid decision. You're not getting right with Christ. You need to, or else you're going to burn forever. So please make the right decision. And then, we can't make somebody want to do that.
It's crazy how normalized it is today too. Like I was talking with that paramedic unit, and it's like that unit says they average about 6 of those a day.
Yikes. That's insane.
That's just the one unit.
So they're just covering a portion of the city.
Yeah.
And it's just like the fact that that's where we are in today's
Right.
society is like
Not good.
this country needs Jesus more than ever.
Yeah.
Because
The world does.
the devil is attacking
Yeah.
far better than he has before.
Yeah, it's at least in a way that's different than many other places in the world, or at least different than it was at other times. Like we've become so complacent with the way that our lives are as a culture, and then so much of the culture is just glorified what is evil and condemned what is good, to the point where it's not even like, a lot of times in media, it isn't a super. It doesn't seem as though it's often like they're always just saying Christianity bad, but because that's like the baseline that everybody thinks, it seems like, right? It's like they, to some extent in media, they don't have to say Christianity bad because it's like the given. Like
It's presumed.
that's just the presupposition, the cultural presupposition. It's
in every TV show or anything, it's
Yeah.
always the priest or the preacher or the Christian person that's doing something bad. It's just a part of society that like they've been trickling in.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that are just saying bad things about Christians and Christianity that it's just become, it's not like persecution as it's been historically at all.
Yeah.
It's more of a like passive aggressive, like social persecution.
Yeah.
than-
And I think what it creates then is just an acceptance for what is wrong and terrible.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, that's where, because you talked about earlier how like laws have changed so that, we don't condemn drug use, for example, right? It's like, oh, let's just legalize it and then blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of that is just because like, it's not even these extremes, calling good, good, calling evil, evil, or calling good, evil, calling evil, good. It's just this like become this cultural kind of blah. And it's like, yeah, this is just fine. And oh yeah, we all know that Christian, like that thing over there, that's crazy. And it, and so it's just become nothingness. And it's crazy. Like I always think, man, there used to be a time where you had even on TV and stuff like some sort of Christian example. And Perry's been watching the show lately called Seventh Heaven. And we were just talking about this the other day, but like, it's really interesting if you go back. And I was like, when we first started watching it together, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool because the whole point of the show is that it's like a dad who is a pastor. Well, they call him a minister. So I don't know like what the denominational, actually the show doesn't either. It just, the whole point is like, it shows how little they really know about what it means to be a believer. That's the funny thing because, like the dad's supposed to be a pastor and they have like a million kids and they have more kids throughout the show. And it's, at first we started watching it and I was like, this is kind of cool because man, this was at a time where you could have a show where they're like, hey, the premise is it's just a good family and they're good because like the dad's a pastor and they all go to church and it's about parents trying to raise their kids right. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. Like, sure, it's not necessarily, it doesn't seem like it's made by a Christian media company. It was on, regular TV or whatever. So it's not like they're going to have a Christian agenda, but it seems like they're being fair, right? I was like, this is cool. But as I continue to watch it, like, I can't tell whether or not the creators are being fair or not. Because if they're not being fair, then they're purposely making weird decisions for what the characters are doing. Or they're just oblivious, really, to what it is to be a believer. And they just have these ideas, like very superficial ideas that like, oh yeah, what this pastor guy does is he puts on these robes and stands up in front of everybody. And then he talks about like, this is why you should feel good about the decisions you make. Like all the sermons he ever, like it's very rare that you hear any part of a sermon on the show. But I don't know. And like you were saying earlier, like they make the Christian the bad guy so often as the show continues. Like the dad in that show, as season go by, the dad is always an idiot, number one, and always making these stupid decisions. Or not, like he's making the right decision. I'm like agreeing with him, like, yes, you should discipline your kid for that, for like doing whatever it is, stupid thing they did. And then the whole episode is about how like, he is just being overbearing and the kids are like just tired of his crap, and then the mom, his wife is like, you need to lay off. And then he's like this wounded puppy, just like, I just think that, I'm going to do the right thing. And he gets all fired up to do the right thing. And then he does it. And I'm like, good. Like, yeah, they're not going to react well, but that's what people do. Stand up for what's right. Be a dad, be a man. And then he just gets whipped by everybody else in the show, basically. And then the episode ends with him being like, I'm sorry that I treated you that way. And I'm like watching it like, dude, no wonder the perception for so many people is like, Christians are just kind of holier than thou, and they get fired up about what they think the right thing is. And we just need to tell them that they make us feel bad and they'll back off because like this is like the perception and the example of it in media. Like that's what I think people think. So it's become this just kind of like regular thing. So I don't know how we started talking about this, but I think overwhelmingly the world is evil and there's going to be a lot of people that do really bad things. And the way you felt when you were talking about it, like that guy, you guys saved his life and he wasn't grateful. He was the opposite of grateful. He was hurtful and rebelling against you. Well, that example is really, really poignant for a lot of us. Like the way you were feeling, it makes me wonder like, man, how does God feel when he creates us, we rebel, he saves us, and then we're just like, so many of us are just like, screw you, God. Like that feeling you had where sure, some difficulty and pain was involved. There was a lot of fear, but the guy's alive. And it hurt him. Like he comes out of it being like, dude, I'm feeling hurt, but I'm alive, right? And he's just like, flipping you off and running off and like clearly going to go keep doing more of it. It's like, how often is God the person in that situation that like it took some pain, it took some trial, but you're out of it and you're better for it. And we're just focused on the way we feel like, my ribs are broken. Like what in the world? And then we just go right back to our fixations. It seems pretty poignant, like the same, like because the cure for that guy there in that situation was for him to step back and go like, whoa, I made a mistake. I killed myself and these people saved me. And to save me, it took me hurting pretty bad, but I'm alive. So thank you. Right. And in our lives, like we know that we will endure trials and challenges, but God uses those to purify us. And so if we're just focused on like coming out of those things, like, dude, I'm burned real bad and I hurt real bad, and we're just mad at God for them, that's so stupid, right? Like the way you're feeling, looking at what that guy did is like, this just seems crazy and ridiculous and totally wrong. It's like, well, we do that to God a whole lot. And so we definitely shouldn't, right? We need to remember like what he's actually done for us, and be grateful. And I think that situation with you and that guy is an example of the sad reality of our relationship with God sometimes, and especially our relationship with God, like before we come into a relationship with him, right? A loving relationship with God. Yeah. It's what a lot of people are doing.
I didn't even think and consider all the times that I've done the same thing to God. So it's a little convicting.
I think we all have. What's up?
Oh, I was just going to kind of pop in and chime in and remind, like things that have you've said, Jerry, before on the podcast is really we just need to be obedient. I mean, we may not see the outcome that's intended. God has that in his plan, but we just need to remain obedient.
Yeah, that's important. Remaining obedient, like that's our job, right? Our job here as the created being is to be obedient to the Creator. And it's because, like you said, Shibs, we don't know what's going to happen, but he does. And he gives us an opportunity to choose, like Levi said, and he gives us the opportunity to choose obedience or not obedience. And that obedience is to a Creator who knows what's best. He never has like just good in mind. He has the best in mind. So, yeah, that's true.
And, we may never see the fruits of doing good for you, because once somebody starts doing, if any of your people that you bust start doing the right thing, then you'll never see them again.
Yeah.
So
That's
you're never going to see any of the fruits of, if anybody that does get busted and their life gets forever changed by you having to correct something that they've done wrong. So you'll never really see it. But in other ways of your life, I mean, you've seen it in your own life. We've seen it in your life. We've have stories of people on our Discord that have been changed for the better because of, the actions that people take. We have all of these stories through the Bible and through modern Christianity, through ancient Christianity, of seeing the works that people do, them not being able to see it, or them being able to see it, and seeing the way that God has been using all of these small things that people do to make big change around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the advantage of not being stuck like an Isaiah, where he does all of the good things, but never sees any of the fruit. Nobody listens to him, but he ends up being an incredible, huge prophet for God, and gives so much of the prophecies for Jesus, the ultimate savior. And we have the advantage of being able to see those things, to be able to encourage each other, and we have each other to be able to exhort one another daily.
Yeah, it's like I've been reading Jeremiah lately, and dude, you should read Jeremiah, because I think he felt a lot like that. Because in that, he's like, "Thus says the Lord, you guys are way going the wrong direction." And they're like, "We're going to kill you." He's like, "Whoa, don't do that. God is trying to fix you. Like, don't keep betraying God or he'll wipe you out because he cares about his creation and you're ruining it. And they're like, you're going to die. And it's like, I'm trying to save you. Like God is giving you a chance here. And they're like, no, man, no, we're going to kill you because of what you said. And it's like, that's the opposite of reaction that makes sense, you know? So, but yeah, like Levi said, we play a role in it too, right? Which is to encourage one another.
Yeah. We have each other to be able to exhort one another daily.
How does that tie into our theme?
I don't know. I don't know if it does.
I think it does
I think
because
it
the
does a
words you
lot.
just said are the theme. Whoa!
Hebrews 3:13, exhort one another each day as long as it is called today, that none of you may become hardened by sin's deception.
Yeah. And I think, the devil's trying to deceive you into believing that you saving that man's life,
Didn't matter.
didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it absolutely did.
Yeah, I mean, to protect the vulnerable and the weak is something that we're specifically called to do. And that guy's very vulnerable when he's dying,
And unlike what that journalist thought, that these are the vagabonds and the wretches of society, lower humanity than even the most vile drunkard.
Whoa.
They are
Levi had that memorized.
humans created in the image of God.
Yeah. I was one of those vagabonds too, so.
We all
Jesus died for him as well.
were. Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
I was like, where are you going?
Yeah,
Just leaving it undied?
Yeah. Well, but more importantly, he rose from the dead.
Yeah.
I think it's important to also make sure to bring the stuff that's on your heart to others so that you can be exhorted, I guess.
Yeah,
Because I
right.
was kind of going back and forth on whether or not I wanted to talk about it, but I felt like we should probably have a conversation.
Yeah,
I
like
think it
because
was a
it
good
says why? Like, why are we doing that? So that we're not fooled by sin, right?
Mhm.
And it's like if we're feeling confused or discouraged about something, well, we know that we shouldn't be feeling that way. We know that we should be living our lives informed by hope, right? And so it's like, I got to talk about this. I think for a lot of people, they're like, no, I should just know what's right and I shouldn't have to burden someone else. It's like, no, we're supposed to help bear one another's burdens. You're not taking your burden off and going, hey, take this for me. It's like, no, you're asking people for help and they're saying like, hey, let me take some of that off your back for you. And why are we doing that? Well, so that we're not fooled. Because like if you, think about it, this happens with people where they see difficult stuff. Like those guys that are seeing this 6 times a day, people like that sometimes go like, you know what? After seeing all this darkness, I can't believe in God anymore. Because like, why would he let all this evil happen? It's like, well, there's answers for those things. And if you talk to people about it, like, I think keeping that inside and internalized and just seeing death and evil all the time, yeah, it's no wonder that people slowly, like over time, walk away from God. It's just chipped away because they're not getting encouraged because they're not
becoming hardened to, the deception
of sin. It's like, yeah, like how is that sin deceiving the person that's helping? Well, they're slowly just being like, God wouldn't allow this to happen, right? And the devil's just whispering things like that into their ear. And then for the person there that's doing it, it's like sin has deceived them because they're like, yeah, this is better for my life.
or
That's a great
like,
example.
why are we even helping these guys? They keep doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's
why
a great
do-
example that sin doesn't just affect the sinner.
Yeah. It's very destructive. So, yeah, it's a big thought, but like a big idea, but continuing to talk about these things can have a much larger impact than we think, right? You talking to people about this experience you had, if you don't do that over time, you can become jaded towards the people like that, right? Not have compassion for them. And so it's important to talk about those things. But then for that guy that was dying, like he needs to hear the gospel and he needs to know that, his life is valuable and it's valuable not because of what he does with it, right? Clearly example, like look what he's doing with it, right? For all of us, our lives are not valuable because of what we do or have done, but our lives are valuable because of what God has done. First in creating us and second in dying to save us. He attributes a lot of value to us and that's why. And we need to be grateful for that and then be obedient. So yeah, let's wrap it up with that. I think if you don't have people in your life that you can go to and talk to about things like this, that you should. And we're seeing that right here. So if you're on the internet and maybe you're not a part of a church, or if you are a part of a church, I encourage you to get involved there. But especially if you're not, join us at discord.gg/Christian Influence. You can get involved with other believers on the internet, and we'd love to talk to you and encourage you however we can. We hope you enjoy the show. And if you do like this show and you want to show that off to people, you can do the same thing that Jaret's doing, which is wearing one of our new merch items at ChristianInfluence.net under the shop category. This is our official Under the Influence sweatshirt. You see it's got the logo. It's got some little radio waves. You see it's got our title. It's got our website. And on the back, it's got our theme verse for the season, Hebrews 3:13. Go check it out. This is the military green color. When we all have ours, because only Jaret's and mine have come in so far, you'll see that we all got the same color. Even Shibs out there. But I think it's the best one.
I think it's the best color.
It's
that one.
It's so good.
And then honestly, the dusty rose color is the one that Perry got. It looks pretty good. So
yeah, my wife got that one too.
yeah.
Yep.
So go check that out. ChristianInfluence.net. You can get some merch there if you want. We're slowly putting up other things too. But I guess with that, we love you very much.
Roll the outro.
That's a good one.